Reid Blackman is the author of Ethical Machines, and he joins us now. Reid, glad to have you here.
My pleasure.
All right. Should we be optimistic, excited, or terrified of AI?
It can be all those things. I mean, there's really exciting opportunities to take advantage of using AI, really great things, some things that could really benefit humanity generally. And then there are some really scary, dangerous things.
So what are the, so first of all, we were joking with you after I asked you if you were anti-human.
Big time anti-human.
Yeah. So I am worried about it, but tell me, what is the scariest scenario in AI? For people who don't even understand what this might mean.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes, it depends on what we're talking about when we talk about AI. So usually what we're talking about in most contexts is we're just talking about software that learns by example. So most of your audience probably thinks, oh, AI, that's the Terminator. That's the thing that's going to come kill us and or take all of our jobs. And that's not what most of AI really is. It's software that learns by example. So you might teach it to learn, hey, what does a good resume look like? What does a good job candidate look like?
That's the good stuff. What's the bad? What scares you about AI?
So there's a number of things. The standard risks are things like privacy violations. So all those examples, a fancy word for example is data. That data is often about you and me. So it's taking up our data. It's learning from that data and then making certain kinds of predictions about us. So there's massive potential for violations of privacy. In fact, many of those potentials have been realized already. There's massive discrimination at scale. So sometimes these things learn by example, and what it learns is, oh, we should discriminate against, say, women and people of color. There's lots of examples
Or
of
have
that.
a political perspective.
Or have a political, yeah, absolutely. That happens.
Okay, how about deep fakes? I mean, how are you going to know what's real or not real?
Massive concern. So one of the things that was called out in this letter is there's a big risk of misinformation, disinformation, because you can make deep fakes of all varieties, so audio, video, text. You can make it using the AI, and unless it's watermarked in some way or other, most people are not going to know.
So the most terrifying aspect to me, and you can tell me, Will, that's science fiction and it's entirely too apocalyptic, but is the controllability of AI.
Yeah.
So you program AI with some certain set of values in the beginning, and then a set of hierarchies, priorities, purpose. Certainly that is part of a programming code. And then it somehow is no longer confined into its original environment, and it has to pursue that hierarchy, its own survival, perhaps, its own continued ability to learn. And now this thing is in charge of us instead of we're in charge of it.
Yeah, so I think you're right about one thing and wrong about another.
Okay.
I think the thing that you're right about is that these things could easily go out of control because we don't, in many cases, really understand how they work. This is what's called the black box problem. There's a lot of computation going on, and it defies our mere mortal human understanding.
Because it's self-learning, right?
No, because what it's in the business of doing is recognizing these phenomenally complex mathematical patterns. So we understand the language of math, but if it's a 55-page formula, we can't keep that in our heads at the same time. So it's operating on rules that are incomprehensible to us. And when it's incomprehensible, you might wonder, well, how are we going to control this thing that we don't even understand? So that's absolutely a worry.
Can you just unplug it?
Sure. Yeah, you can unplug it. So far.
Okay.
What I think you're not right about is these things don't have desires. They don't have wants. They don't have needs. They don't want to survive. They don't want to learn. It's software that learns by example. It's algorithms. So until, and if this is even possible, until they actually form, if you like, desires or goals of their own, we don't have to worry about, them breaking out of their handcuffs and ruling the world.
Desires. We give it that sense of purpose. We give it its mission.
Or somebody nefarious could give it.
Look, we say, look, tell me if this is going to be a good job candidate. Yes, no. Based on historical data about what other candidates have looked like in the past, is this going to be a good job candidate? Based on criminal record history, are they going to be likely to commit a crime in the next 2 years or not? Those are, that's it. That happens. That's already real. And one of the massive concerns there is discrimination against women and people, especially people of color in the criminal justice system, gets recreated and scaled using AI.
Pre-crime.
Interesting.
All right.
I'm pro-human.
Me too.
Bigger
You just said you weren't.
I was joking. Same page.
Reid, thank you very much.
You really
My pleasure.
cleared a lot of things up. Really appreciate you coming in.
My pleasure. Thanks.